I'm going to create a function that allows you to specify an image URL that's publicly accessible and download that image and then store it in a Xano database. So we're going to just kind of step through this. First thing I'm going to need is a URL as input. And then that URL is going to be used as an external API request. So you can see it automatically selected it for us. We don't really need to create anything else. I am, let's see, image response for an output variable. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's see here. That's what we're shooting for. I'm going to go ahead and test this kind of a step at a time so you can see what's going on. Let me change this to be image response. And then we'll need a image itself. See, if we go to Pixabay, that's probably the best place to pick up an image. Let's see if I can get this out of the way. There we go. Okay, so we're going to use this image. It's free, so we don't have copyright issues. And I'm going to go ahead and do a run and debug just to show what we get back, what we're working with. So there's the request. It's just a GET request to the URL that is and image. We get back the response. The headers I'm not as interested in, but wanted you to see that the response.result is the binary encoded image. So that's our first thing we want to work with. We want to get that into Base64 format. So I'm going to go ahead and create a variable. We'll call that image Base64. Because not only are we going to Base64 encode the image response, but we need to just pull out the image data. So when we looked at the debug info just now, .response.result gets me to the binary encoded data for that image. And then what I want to do is add a filter to Base64 encode that. Okay, so now if we look at, instead of image response, if we look at image Base64 in the response and we run this again, a step at a time here, you'll see that now we have a Base64 encoded image. And the way you can see that is everything is a character. And that's really what Base64 is doing, is converting all the binary data into a character representation so that it can be transferred more easily. So let's go ahead and go one step further. Because now that I have the Base64 image data, I need to add in a header. And I'm going to give you an example. I've had this in my prior videos, but an example of that header is something that you can see out at shunya.github.io, where they let you create 1-pixel images. And so what we're looking to do is add on to the front this. Let's see if I can just get this piece. There we go. Well, it's going to give me everything. We want to add on the data, image, PNG, Base64, comma. Those are all the pieces. So let me go ahead and grab that exact thing from here. Okay, so I'm grabbing this header, and this header is an industry standard header and will be recognized by Xano. So let's go ahead and add a new variable just to keep it clean. I'm going to Base64 header. And that's just this piece, just that text. And the reason I've done that is I'm now going to want to concatenate this header to what we Base64 encoded from the binary image online. So now what I'm going to do is data manipulation. I'm going to do an update. So I'm going to go ahead, instead of creating a new variable, I'm going to go ahead and create an updated version of the image base64. Nope, let me do this. Yeah, so the existing variable, I want to update that, and I want to update it with the header, and then I want to concatenate onto the header the image base64. No separator is needed. So what's happening is I'm going to use the header, concatenate image base64 data, and then put that back into image base64. Go ahead and save that. And then the next thing I need to do is the content upload. In some of my prior videos, you'll see that we use the content upload in the header. I think I clicked. I might just be getting a slow response time. We'll give that a second. There we go. And I want to create image metadata. And I want to create something called, let's just say, final image, just so I can easily pull that out of my list. And so remember, image base64 now has the header and the base64 encoded data that was binary that is now character-based. Okay, so now I have something that Xano will recognize as an image file when I move this through the create image from file into the final image variable. So if I come over to my database, I've got a products database, just using that as an example in my test app, and I added in a product image column. So just to see what that would look like, we would just come down to storage and pick image metadata, image, and you'll see that these are the same columns. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this one. I just wanted you to know how to get that column specified. So product underscore image is what we're going to work with. Okay, so I've created the image. Now I just need to add it. I'm going to go back to my database. We're going to use product ID 1, just so that we know where it's going to get stored. And I am going to do a database request, and I'm going to edit a record. I'm not going to add a new product. I'm going to edit an existing one. I'm going to hard code the value of 1 for the ID, and I'm not going to change created at. I'm not going to change barcode, and I'm not going to change name. All I want to do is add in the final image that we created. And then I will go ahead, let me rename my output. We'll call it product updated. And then I'm going to go ahead and add that into the response so that we can see what comes back from that. So if everything worked, when I go into run and debug, I've still got the picture of the lake with the boats on it. And when I run that, you'll see that I get back a response that is the product info, because we edited the product table. So that's a product ID when it was created in Unix time coding, the barcode, the type of product description, and then here's what we just added. The product image data. I think I just collapsed that. Let me expand that back out. And so this shows you that in the Xano vault at this location is now a .png per our header, and the size of it, width and height, and the URL for it. So if I were to go to a new tab with that URL, that image is now stored on Xano, and we originally got it from Pixabay. So in essence, we've downloaded and copied the actual image, not just its URL, but the image data itself into our database. Let me go over to the database and just show you when I refresh this. There we go. There is the image as stored in Xano. So if you've got any questions, feel free to let me know. Really, we're just treating the image URL as an external API call. So that is it. Feel free to add questions or let me know if there's an easier way with fewer lines to do this.